Duck, the Great Western engine, works on his own branch line, called the Little Western. At most times, he pulls passengers. At other times, he arranges trucks. Whatever the work, he always does it the Great Western way, so there is no trouble being caused. That is the reason why he does it this way anyway, although many others don't always show the best appreciation for his way of doing things. One day, the Fat Controller came to see Duck and Oliver at the sheds. "There is some trouble occurring on Edward's branch line," he said. "Heavy trains need to be taken down to Brendam Docks, and Boko is busy helping on the main line. I need an engine to help by pulling the trains." "I can do it, sir," whistled Duck quickly. "Oh, thank you, Duck. I am glad to have an engine like you who can be trusted with important jobs like this," smiled the Fat Controller and left. "Don't get all Great Western-like when handling things on Edward's branch line," warned Oliver. "The way they do things won't be like how you run this branch line." But Duck wasn't listening. "I'm sure I'll manage just as easily," he puffed. "Besides, the Great Western way is always the best way of doing things. It's the way to make me really useful." Then he puffed away. When Duck arrived at Wellsworth Station, he saw Edward resting in a siding, feeling a little exhausted. He had been shunting heavy trucks about in the yard. He was relieved when he saw Duck. "Hello," he puffed. "I'm glad you're here. The branch line has been very busy." "Don't worry," said Duck. "We'll soon have the line sorted in no time." The yard manager arrived. "This regular goods train going down to Brendam Docks is full of heavy cargo," he told Duck. "Can you manage to carry it safely?" "Of course I can. I'll do it the Great Western way," Duck replied. "These trucks can be tricky to handle," warned Edward. "Make sure you don't do anything that influences them to play tricks." "Oh, I know all about trucks, Edward," laughed Duck. "Don't worry, I'll manage." And with that, Duck buffered to the front of the train, but rather roughly. "Oh, oh, oh!" cried the trucks. "We want a proper engine, not a green pannier ruffian." "Be quiet, the lot of you! I am a Great Western engine, and I do things the Great Western way. So I shall have no nonsense or fuss from you." Then he set off. The Great Western way for a truck to do things is to follow its engines quietly and not cause trouble for them ever. So if I were you, I would think about doing things that way and leave it at that, he went on. As Duck travelled along the line, the trucks grumbled to each other. "Duck has no right to order us about," said one of them. "He says we should do things the Great Western way. Let's teach him a lesson." Duck didn't hear them. He was chuffing cheerfully along the line. "Let's see if this journey doesn't end with a crash. Now that would be something you don't often see on the Great Western Railway," he chuckled. That gave the trucks an idea. They began bumping into Duck. "Don't do that!" Duck scolded. "That is the wrong way of doing things." The trucks just laughed. Then they bumped him again. This time, Duck began to go a little faster. On, yelled the trucks. They pushed Duck faster and faster along the line. Duck was worried. He sped down the line, whistling frantically. He went past the vicarage orchard, where Trevor saw him in amazement. Duck's driver put on the brakes. "I must stop! I must stop!" panted Duck. He had had a runaway with trucks some time ago, but this one didn't make him end up in a barber shop again. Up ahead was the scrapyard. "Stop! Stop!" cried Duck, but it was too late. Duck's driver and fireman had jumped clear before the crash, but Duck lay on his side, groaning to himself. Soon the breakdown crane had arrived to put Duck back on the rails. The Fat Controller came to see him. "What's happened, Duck?" he asked. "Of all the accidents you've had, this is the most shocking." "I'm sorry, sir," sighed Duck sadly, and explained what happened. The Fat Controller sighed. "Duck, I know that you do things the way you like best, but you can't go showing it off all over the railway. Everyone has their own way of doing things. It's disrespectful to tell them all to do it your way." "I understand, sir," replied Duck. He knew that the Fat Controller was right. That evening, Duck was being mended at Wellsworth Yard. Edward puffed beside him. "I'm sorry I didn't listen to you, Edward," apologised Duck. "Don't worry, Duck," smiled Edward. "The important thing is you learned your lesson. Sure, I'll have to still do the heavy work, but when you're repaired, I can show you how we handle trucks on this line." "Thank you, Edward." "How do you handle trucks on this line?" asked Duck thoughtfully. "Well, we shunt and pull them slow and steady. Then they come quietly," puffed Edward. "Being gentle," pondered Duck. "Now that is a sensible way of doing things. Too bad it's not Great Western, though." Then the two friends laughed. When Duck was repaired, he soon managed to shunt the trucks carefully. And when he took them to the docks, he didn't order them about. Not once. He was a very patient engine indeed. Duck still behaves in his Great Western manner because he is that sort of engine, but he knows to appreciate everyone's different ways of doing their jobs. After all, the way you do things, which is considered different to that of others, makes you special, doesn't it?